Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel, and as you can see, kind of wrapping up the little food plot series that we had going on throughout the summer. A lot of you guys wanted to see kind of the finished product, as well as how much time and money and stuff that I put into this. So before the deer completely mow the rest of the food plot down here, I figured we'd come out here and film kind of the third part of the series, give you guys an update on how things are looking. And of course, like I just mentioned, we'll go over how I did it all, kind of what steps I took, what products I used, how much time I put into it, and how much money did this actually cost me as well, because it wasn't a lot. Alright, so to start out here, we'll kind of back up just a little bit and run through a quick overview of us putting this food plot in and kind of the steps we used and how we did it along the way real quick. So back in June, we came in here and started this project. It was just kind of a grassy field full of just mixture of weeds and stuff like that had just grown up since last year's food plot. And we started off by bringing a small little compact tractor in here and bush hogging it all, which took about 15 minutes worth of time to just come and mow it all down. I did not spray any kind of weed killer on this whatsoever. We just mowed it, and on the same day right after we mowed it, we tilled it for the first time, which all that was a little tiller on the back of another compact tractor, and that took about 25 minutes to till. And then after we came in here and mowed it and tilled it in June, I let the plot sit for a month and came back in July and tilled it again, which was another 25 minutes because some of the grasses had grown back up and stuff. Still, at this point, no weed killer at all sprayed in here. And then fast forward another month later, in early August, I came in here and tilled it one last time, which is when I brought the seed in here and planted that as well. And pretty much at that point, everything was set. There was no more weeds or grass or anything left in here. So we did not have to spend any kind of money on weed killer. After 3 tills of the tractor, there was nothing left in here. And then as for seed, what we planted were these 2 mixes right here. What you see behind me is this smackdown mixture, and what we'll take a look at here in a minute is the bombshell mixture, which we'll take a better look at both of these here in a second. And I should mention that I am in no way sponsored or was given those products or anything from Domain. I just simply wanted to try those out and see how they would actually perform. And by and large, the food plot seed was definitely the most expensive part of the whole thing here. But we'll get to prices on everything in a minute because I think it's going to be pretty surprising here. But either way, when we planted it, all I used was just a little hand spreader. Come in here and just lay a pretty even spread of the seed out. Nothing fancy whatsoever. No fertilizer, no weed killer, no nothing was used on this at all. So over the course of the next 2 months or so, from mid-August until now it's late October, all I did was let the stuff grow. I never touched it, never had to touch it. And I gotta say, I am relatively impressed with how this stuff performed, which we'll take a better look at here in a second. However, I am pretty impressed because since early August, we have only had rain, I think 3 or 4 times. It was calling for a whole lot more and the weather changed and it just never happened. In this area, I think average rain totals for like August through October is like 7 or 8 inches worth of rain. And I think we've had probably about 2 inches worth of rain. And a lot of that 2 inches came when the tropical storm came up the East Coast back in September. So definitely the weather did not at all help us out here. So what we see is relatively impressive considering this really hasn't been watered a whole lot. But anyway, now that we're caught up to today, it's now late October. We've had a few cold fronts come in with some nice nights in the 30s, and the deer have absolutely been hammering this food plot. What you see behind me here is what it looks like currently, which is pretty good, but it's probably about half the height that it once was a couple of weeks ago. So let me show you this so you can actually see what's going on and how it looks now. Alright, so here we're looking at the upper portion of our food plot, and we planted the smackdown mixture here, which is a mix of pretty much all turnips, and the deer have absolutely mowed this stuff down. I mean, in some areas it's about calf deep, but it was like almost knee deep, believe it or not, a few weeks ago. But as you can see here, I mean, see how kind of patchy this area is? This was all filled in prior, but as you can clearly see, I mean, the deer have just absolutely taken the tops off of everything through here. So they are absolutely eating a lot of this smackdown turnip mix. There's no doubt about that. But either way, That looks pretty good for having next to no rain at all and deer foraging off of it. I'm definitely pretty happy with how that Smackdown mixture has performed. There's no question about that. And this probably still has another month and a half, maybe even 2 months, depending on weather and stuff like that, before there's really nothing left for the deer. So looking really good out of this top plot. All right, now we're looking at the bottom half of the food plot here, which is where we planted the bombshell mixture. And as you can see, it's pretty much the same story. I mean, there is still calf deep parts out here, so we definitely had some good growth, but there's definitely, especially over there, that corner is right in the main travel area where the deer walk through, and they have absolutely mowed that corner down. However, what I am really liking to see here is that we have a lot of stuff regrowing up through here, which is something that Domain says on the package, and I would believe it. I mean, look, deer have absolutely mowed the tall stuff down, and there is new stuff coming through here. So definitely, I'm liking what I'm seeing out of this Domain stuff, considering we ain't had no rain, this is no fertilizer, no anything. And now I'm sitting up here in my tree stand overlooking this food plot, just so you guys can get a little bit better view from up top. What you're looking at now is the upper portion of the plot that was planted with the Smackdown turnip mixture, and it looks pretty good. And then of course down here we have the bombshell mix in the lower portion of the plot, and as you can see where those deer absolutely just mowed that corner down because they come out of that little notch in the woods right there and work their way right along this edge here past the stand. So overall here, I am definitely pretty impressed, especially with the weather and how this stuff performed here. And I do want to throw this in here real quick and just mention some things about food plot seed. Not just the Domain seed, but seed in general. When you're looking online or in the store at different food plot mixes, you want to find the little tag or the chart on it that shows you your seed mix. I did go over this in one of the previous episodes, but I wanted to show it again here. A lot of the food plot mixes that you'll find at like Tractor Supply or something are kind of junk and not worth the money. And what this label tells you is all the seed that's in it and the percentage, which is the purity, what percentage of the mix is a certain seed. So in this case, the Ethiopian cabbage is 33% of what's in this jug here. Where a lot of people go wrong is they'll go to Tractor Supply or something and buy the cheap row and grow stuff, and the top ingredients will be wheat or ryegrass, which the deer really do not care about, at least not even nearly as much as like brassicas or cabbage or collards or something like this. And what you'll see is things like the throw and grow stuff, it has like 70% just ryegrass in it, which the deer are just not going to care about. So again, I'm not sponsored or anything by the Domain guys here, but at least they put in actual amounts of good quality seed. So this right here will tell you everything you need to know if you're looking for a food plot seed. If it says wheat or ryegrass or something of the sort all the way up here at the top with, 40, 50, 60+% of it being that, just don't even bother. So I'm really liking the Domain stuff where they actually put good quality stuff in here. Okay, so now that we've gone over everything here, what we did, how we did it, and how everything came together and progressed, you're probably wondering, well, how much time did I spend on it and how much money did it cost me? So as for how much time it cost me, it was about 15 minutes to bush hog initially. It was about 25 minutes each time I would till. So times that by 3, that comes out to about an hour and 15 minutes worth of tilling. And then about another 15 minutes or so for me to walk around here and spread the seed. So as for time that I spent working here in the food plot, it was somewhere between an hour and 45 minutes and 2 hours. Not a whole lot of time, and definitely something that you can do just in the evenings after you get off work. Now, as for how much it cost me, obviously I used the tractor because I had it available to me. You do not have to use a tractor to be able to do this. But since I used the tractor, I had to fuel it, which I'm going to estimate between the mowing and all 3 tillings, it probably only used about 5 gallons worth of diesel fuel, which isn't much in the grand scheme of things, but this is a pretty small little food plot here. So at roughly $5 to the gallon for diesel in my area, call it $25-ish in diesel fuel. And then the only other cost that I had in this whole thing was the seed mixture. Now I bought 4 of the containers of that seed mixture, 2 of the bombshells and 2 of the Smackdown mixtures, because I wanted to overseed this just a little bit because I know how hardy these deer are around here on just mowing stuff down. So for the cost of those containers, they were about $20 each. So times that by 4, that gives you about $80. So when we add it all up, diesel fuel, and the cost of the seed, it's about $105. So call it 2 hours and $105 worth of money, and we got this food plot that is absolutely drawing the deer in. I'm calling that a win. So with that being said, what do you guys think about it? Is that a little bit less time and money than what you expected? Leave all your thoughts down in the comments. And if you have planted, a little kill plot or a small little food plot like this in a similar way, let me know your experiences with it and how you set yours up. But with that being said, I'm gonna leave this off here. Hopefully it helped some of you guys, or at least gave you some good information or some good numbers to kind of go off of if you had questions about some of this stuff. So I'm going to get back to all the normal testing for you guys. We do have an Instagram now as well where you can see some sneak peeks and stuff to that testing. If you would like to go over there and check that out, I'll leave the link in the description. So I'm going to get back to it for y'all. We've got plenty more stuff coming and some hunting videos as well from this food plot. So stay tuned for all that. But on that note, I'll see y'all in the next one.